it's a lot to think about, Paul. Maybe a lunchtime discussion. All right, let's get going here. All right. Good morning. Hope everybody had a great weekend. And we're starting off here rather neutral. 1 second. Okay. New all-time highs. All right. Last couple of weeks, other than the gap to new highs. On Thursday, there was a lot of choppy stuff going on. And yeah, Alex, I still got this cold kick in my butt. Actually, I think I'm on the tail end of it. It was pretty terrible over the weekend. Anyway, it happens. So, when we had this wide range expansion bar with the bottoming tail bar, I had mentioned, typically after a day like this, you're going to go for a period of consolidation. That's all that's happening. And so, last week, prices were able to go up a little bit. Again, we had the gap up on Thursday. Friday tried to extend its move, and that found some sellers pushing it back down with the Dow at around 29,000. So we'll see. We've got the phase one China deal supposed to be signed this week. We got a whole bunch of financials coming out, reporting earnings, a lot of them starting tomorrow. And that will probably push the market around a bit. And so continues to be a news-driven market, but overall, good news, bad news, no news, continues to be by the dip, wherever the dip may lead to. If it breaks one area of support, buy at the next one, and so on. So this consolidation, we'll see today. I don't know. Hopefully it's not just an inside day of going nowhereness, but it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. Now, as we look at what's going on, well, we begin to build a new trading range, relatively tight. And so looking at this, you can say, well, is that a head and shoulders top? Well, it could be, where this was sideways and it popped up. And, by definition, that type of a topping pattern has a deep retracement. Most times it'll violate the prior swing low, and then it comes up to make the lower high. Now, we don't get any confirmation until it breaks below here. So, whether you're looking at the futures or the spiders, you just mark off that area and then see what happens. If it breaks down, well, then it's got room to begin to fall into this void. And if it gets above, well, then we assume attacks the next 3,300 area up there. Qs, same story. Selling on Friday really did little to no damage because, well, let's back up. How do you determine that there was little to no damage? Well, we do it relatively easy way. You just look at the bar and say, well, is it a red candle? Yes. It closed below its open. Is that so bad? Well, it could be better. Could have been closed above its open, right? It didn't. How far did it penetrate into the prior candle if it was a green one? Well, that one penetrated about halfway, a little bit more if you consider the tail. So getting on the borderline of a little bit of a concern. So just objectively looking at it and say, well, it's relatively neutral to a little bit of a bearish day within an uptrend after a wide range bar. No big deal, right? Now, what is a big deal is going out to the weekly time frame. Why? Because it's a wide range bar. And it's the widest range bar since prices have been advancing. Now, it would be a little bit more of a sell signal, or I should say, get ready to get out of the way signal, not necessarily to short. But if this had gapped up above the prior week's high and then extended its range and got a wide range bar, historically, that would have been more of a wide range bar ending a move. Right? So we've got wide range bars that begin moves, which come out of bases or retracements. And then there's the wide range bars that signal that momentum is ready to stall or the move is going to end. Now, that being said, while the swing low is down here, the fact that that's a wide range bar, you want to take note of that. If you get a close below the low of that prior weekly low, it's going to be significant. And if you can visualize that on your chart of a big red candle closing below that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it would look even more ominous on the daily chart since that's down here. Right? So, and it would violate the trend on the daily chart by coming down to this level. So right now, you know, the markets are starting off here relatively neutral after, you know, that wide range day, and we'll just see where it goes as the news evolves. Dow, right, not quite the same amount of strength, but similar patterns, right? Wide range bar and consolidation, similar hourly chart. When I say relative weakness, we don't need any indicator to do that. Just simply look at the distance from this high to that high. And you can see it's a longer distance versus the Dow is a shorter distance. So you don't need any kind of momentum indicator. You know, if you're using oscillators and you say, oh, well, look at the oscillator made a lower high while the Dow made a higher high. That's bearish. No, it just went up on slowing momentum. And if the Dow pushes up to 29,200, your indicator would flip up. And another reason why we tell you don't use oscillators. They're not necessary. On the other hand, we tell you how to read price action so you can get valuable information like slowing momentum just by looking at the price chart. The less you put on the chart, the easier it is to interpret what's happening if you know how to read the price action. Right? So when we see prices make a higher high, but just a marginal higher high after making this lower low, well, we know that momentum is slowing down, but it doesn't end the trend. Right? So now we'll see, does it consolidate, go higher, or does it break lower? So when we see this action here, what do? Uptrend, uptrend, sideways trend, wait and see which way it resolves itself. Okay? In other words, do nothing. Now, if you're an intraday trader and it breaks below here, then that opens up the door to selling short into the void or long above the highs. Okay? All right, let's take a look at the ETFs. Well, let's look at the Russell. It's been a bit weaker, kind of just a sloppy, downward sloping, corrective price action within an uptrend. No significant support here, so it's finding its support, and the weekly chart looks just fine. Can it hook up? That's the question here. And we've got this corrective action going on here, so pretty much a mess that's going on. So a lot of uncertainty right now. So we'll wait on it and sit on our hands and see how it evolves. Oil continuing to correct lower, coming into this support area down here. Right. It is an area where it stops. Right. We guess it's somewhere in here that it begins to try and stabilize, and we can go down to the bottom of the tails, and somewhere around here is where buyers should begin to step up and see if they can turn it around. That's a nasty reversal. So we'll see. Bonds down here a little bit, really messy, but having pulled back toward this area, it was just this was a long kind of a pullback toward the breakout area. Well, the longer this takes to get curled up and going, the more of a bearish look it's going to get, right? So as it made a little top here and it's got that bottom there, the forces of supply and demand are beginning to contract. In other words, it's winding the spring, and kind of the longer it takes, I think the more confident bearish traders become, and it opens up the door to this breaking lower. So right now, it's another pattern of I just don't know yet. but it's getting tighter. And gold, my mouse here, gold. Yeah, you know, needs to correct a little further. My alert's down here at this support to see if it'll come down here for a buy setup. So I'm waiting to see. Silver, a little sloppier. It'll move about the same. Transports, they got a little shellacked on Friday. We've got 4 stocks in the transportation index that are reporting this week. CXX, I think, is on Thursday. Delta, I think, is today or tomorrow. We got JB Hunt. So maybe these transports, if things come out positively, can break out of this range, and that would be a positive for the markets. And of course, we'll see what the financials do. I'm not sure, you know, Alex. You know, I think the dollar gold thing kind of disconnected a little bit. It sometimes does. So I'm not so sure. You know, the euro's been at this downtrend, and it's stabilized down here. And you know, I think that I mean, it has that look like it's starting to curl up. So I'm not so sure, you know, because let's see if it actually can you know, look at it, it started to move up, and now the deep retracement back down. So another chart of I'm just not sure yet. SPX, well, the high side, I think I'd like to get far enough away above 3,300. You've got 3290, 95. We don't get a pattern there. Let me look at the S&Ps. Yeah, so you got this high. Now, I know you're going to give up the premium, but if the S&Ps could break this 3260, then the 3290, 95 call spread looks attractive. And down below becomes the unknown. And if it breaks higher, well, then the put spread becomes attractive. And not unless, you know, if this was to break down and then show some rally back up, would we consider a condor? So right now, just wait and see which way this breaks, because it can go either way. Right. So that's it for me. All yours, Dan.
All right. Good morning, everyone. All right. I've got a lot of gappers to look at today. Of all of our opens, it looks like we only have one problem child, Tesla. We have a call spread, the 505s, so it's still $15 away. But I don't like this gap. You know, it's a bullish gap on the 15-minute chart. So if this takes out a 30-minute high, it's not ideal pattern at all to sell a put spread on, because it's still too extended. But you know, then you can get whipped around both ways. But I'll possibly consider legging into a condor. All right, let's go through these gappers, unless you all have a question on any individual stock. All right, SSI had a breakout failure. It's been on a tear. I don't know if that's a bio. Whenever I see things get cut in half, it's my immediate guess. It's a bio. There's nothing to do with that. It's damaged. Yeah, Thomas, yeah, let's just wait for 5 minutes on any new entries, correct? All right, there's the Tesla. I'll be keeping an eye on that. Splunk, we had a put spread on this last week, and I was keeping it on my list for a put spread. Now see, this one is relative strength to the Qs, because this one's a, you know, looks gap breakout to all-time highs, and now there's a print lower. 5, I don't know what the news is, and I don't care, but that's nasty. Wow. T-Doc. Oh, is it gapping over the entry? Yeah, we have this one as a puts. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's, well, see, Thomas, good question. And here is why, unless it's intraday on something very liquid, like spiders, Apple, Facebook, where I say, you know what, I don't care what the premium is. So, you know, this had huge premium. So I meant to put a note actually that huge premiums is a sign of pending news. So look at that. That was in our weekend weekly options trader. Well, that's $10. Okay, $10 wide for 5 days. Why are you $2.50? That is huge, unless you're, you know, a bio or something. So let me get this loaded up. But yeah, on things, on gapping over entries, we wait 5 minutes or we wait for a pullback. But this is why I give limits. So on that pattern, if it took out 87.03, I just arbitrarily said, I'll take $1.50 for 5 days. But I put that in a little window. We'll watch it together. Let me actually put it in my toss to get ready. All right, so 85, 75. Yeah, I mean, it closed at 215. That's crazy. Newer. It's a mess. You know, it's range bound. You know, the daily's a mess. You got resistance above. I got no interest in newer. Alex asking about a stop on Baidu. You know, I thought you were holding this as a core. You know, if it's a core, Friday's low, even though that's not what we teach. There's no pivot there. Yeah, our K-Web, I notice we're up nice gap here too to 54. Nice, we're in a ETF trader, have that. Yeah, Greg, I answered her also. IBM got a downgrade, no pattern, maybe a put spread if there's any juice. This one looks great. GWPH, little downside shakeout. Look, made a new low, snapped right back. 20 MAs curling, 110.50. This is one of those diversified marijuana stocks. I put it in the upper right. That is a beautiful bullish gap. Oh, hey, Christina. Yeah, welcome. But yeah, it says, yeah, you found the drop down. We unfortunately can't default it there, which is so stupid if you're a software maker. Come on. Holex. I can't tell where you're gapping. EXEL, gapping down, bearish gap, but no pattern. I'm just getting rid of you. AZN, I think it got a downgrade. Oh no, I don't know. It's either downgrade or they're taking $100 million charge. I forget. Oh shoot, Tesla's popping now again to the upside. You know, trying to pick tops is hard. I never would have shorted that as a swing trade. All right, so this is an ADR 49.50. It's a, you know, it'd be a call spread candidate if you can get any juice. This, wow, I thought that other one, that was 50% haircut. So this one definitely looks like a bio. Yeah. This is exhibit A of why we don't trade bios. Someone on YouTube is asking about Kala. C-A-L-A, never heard of it. Christina, is trade being called out here? Are you, I'm not sure what you're asking, but if you're asking, do we give trade ideas here? Absolutely. We give day trades, we give the ones that we find intraday that we send out to our subscribers. We give them to you here too. We answer questions, we do scanning, we make fun of McGraw. 6, 7, 8's gapping up, no pattern. Christina, were you asking me about a particular stock I was
I think
talking
she's
about?
confused, Dan, about what you're saying since it's her first day as to whether this is a trade that you're talking about rather than, you're reviewing open trades, or is this something that we're going to consider doing?
Oh, yeah. I said that all our opens were fine except Tesla, so that's the only one I talked about. And everything else is just a gap or interest list that I'm reviewing for quality of setup. And so somebody's asking about Kala here on YouTube. We record this from 9 a.m. to 9:30 for our YouTube listeners. So this one's extended, it had a top and tail gapping up. It's in an uptrend on the 15-minute chart. So when you just give me a symbol, YouTubers and others, it helps if you put it in a context. Are you in it as a swing? Are you wanting to get in it as a core? We'll have all different answers. But so all I can do is just, look at the daily and assume that you want to swing it. I like the monthly, but it's 3 months up at resistance. But if it can churn around sideways for a couple months here, then it has room for low 10s. It had the weekly here is what we call a bear sandwich. You got 2 wide range green bars engulfing a big ugly red bar. So it's bullish. You just got to find your entry. And it kind of went vertical for 3 days, far from the 20. So that doesn't leave you any pivot to put a stop. Yeah, Christina, yeah, people use us. There's many people who have jobs and they just log in for the first hour. So yeah, but to answer your question, we're here until, like 4:10 p.m. We stick around after the market to answer any questions. And then, yeah, we take the doldrums off. Texas Roadhouse, it's spotty here, got an upgrade. But today's gap up could be the something something bar to get it moving. This one's gapping down. It's bearish. Could it be a gap and snap? Possibly, but we like those, better if it's gapping a support, and this one's not. This one got a downgrade, AAP. Home 583. It's a bullish gap and bullish pre-market. The daily's a mess. I just don't like trading messes. I want to trade quality. All right, so Lulu got an upgrade, I think. It's gapping up, but no great pattern yet. LCI was gapping up huge. That was a gap breakout. That was a gap breakout that is now failing. YouTube's asking about PLT. The ideal entry was over the January 2nd. Says they're in from 28. These are power bars right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are very controlled, bullish, higher high, higher low bars. So I would very simply just go into trail mode. And then you got to define how you trail on your trading plan. Do you just want to trail into a prior bar's low? Is kind of easy and brainless. unless it starts accelerating to the upside, and then you would drop down to a smaller time frame to tighten your stop for your pivots. But yeah, the daily chart says higher, the 15-minute chart says higher. AXP for Vince asking about a put spread. Just bear in mind there's a lot of bank earnings, and this one doesn't have a no-brainer stop, Vince. You know, you could use Friday's low, but the you know, it could very easily come in and fill the gap with some bad earnings. If you can get under 123.80 and go through your put spread checklist, and which I've been emailing people, so if you want that checklist, you know, it's tight, it's good pattern, it's tight spreads, it's a good premium for the days to expiration. Somebody on YouTube was asking about Starbucks. Hey, Gustav, your drop down. Starbucks, it had a bullish gap breakout last Thursday, and it was on our bullish gap list. I think Greg had it as a day trade. The weekly looks great. If the market holds, the weekly looks like it can go to 94, 95. I like today's gap deep into Friday's bar. So it's at resistance though. Look at all these football players on the left on the 15-minute chart. So I would say 30-minute high would be ideal, because then that would prove itself that it's holding at resistance. But the daily's a little iffy, but I love the weekly. And I would put a stop under Friday's low because of today's bullish gap up. All right, Q's powering here.